The Accidental Realtor. Sometimes success happens by accident. You're listening to the latest episode of The Accidental Realtor with Chuck Gallup and Steve Smith. I can't vouch for all the episodes, but this one's pretty good.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 8 of The Accidental Realtor with Steve Smith and Chuck Gallup. Say hi to everybody, Steve.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're having a good morning.
Or afternoon, or whenever you're listening. I mean, honestly, it could be 3 in the morning. Are you on a treadmill listening to it could be anything. You're on a treadmill listening to Accidental Realtor? We'd love to hear about it. Love to hear about it. You guys haven't seen this, but we've been on hiatus. It's a little secret about this industry, but we record everything way ahead of time. And then we release them. So it's been a while since we've recorded anything.
It has. It's trying to get back into the groove. How does this work again? But we're up for the challenge.
We've actually been setting up microphones in the studio and everything else for about the last 2 hours. It leaves us 6 minutes for the podcast, so it'll be fine. We have a great guest today. I'm really excited about that. We'll bring him in just a minute, but I'm going to go through a couple things. A lot has changed in our economy and the market. There's a lot happening. Since we last recorded an episode, the Fed has lowered the interest rate as promised. So that's the prime rate. Remember, that does not affect directly the interest rate. The interest rate has ticked down. A lot of predictions right now that we will be looking at mid to low fives, maybe as early as the end of the year, which is really close from right now. It's going to change how we do business.
It is. We know a lot of people have been waiting for this to happen, have been hoping for this to happen. And if the rates get into the fives, it's going to be a much welcome relief from, what it was. They were in the 7s and 8s there for a while. It's crazy.
Yeah, 80% of the people in this country have mortgages below 4%. Or I'm sorry, it'd be below 3%, like 90 below 4%. Why would you move? It really, really sticks up the market. Inventory's up in most places. In some of my markets, they've actually dropped quite a bit in Florida, but they're still up substantially from what would be considered an even market. So buyers have all the power. There's no end in sight to what's happening in Florida, although it really ticked up, which is helpful. We're in the middle of a government shutdown. That's really going to affect things like crazy. What are your thoughts on all that?
It is crazy times. And I think when I was watching the news last night, this is the longest we've ever had a shutdown in history. So that's always concerning to hear. And I know it's affecting a lot of people. So I just hope that we can get everything back on track, get the government back and running so that it doesn't affect people's lives and their ability to buy and sell homes.
Yeah, and I think where people are really feeling, I mean, people don't think of how much we need the federal government to process paychecks, to make Fannie and Freddie, which are the main lenders, backers of loans in the United States, to keep them running, to keep TSA running. I have a flight next week. I'm watching it every hour to see if it's getting canceled. It's messy. It really, really affects a lot of things. So curious to see how this shakes out.
No, agreed. So I doubt anything's going to happen today. We're filming this podcast on a Friday, but I'm hoping going into next week there's some resolution.
Sure hope so. I need that flight. I'm moving my kid, so I got to get her. I got to get her from Atlanta to Florida. I need that flight. And I want to jump into. We usually try to give a home buyer tip, and right now, I think more than ever, the words "don't try to time the market" are important. If you need to move, move. If you need to refinance later, refinance. And of course, a lot of you heard that from realtors, and now you're like, wait a minute, you said interest rates would go down. It's been 3 years, we're still at 6%. But that being said, you need to do what you have to do. Don't think that you're going to outthink the market or interest rates or the economy. There will be a product that will get you out of it, that will fix it for you. If you need to move, do it, and don't think you're being smarter than the economy.
Well, that's a good point, Chuck. And you and I both know that there's people out there that probably have that mindset. But I think our observation the last couple of years is that people almost came to that realization on their own. A number of people did. They were wanting to wait. It would have been ideal to wait, but life happens. Circumstances happen. And so then they ended up pulling the pin because they have to move. And And I think in a lot of cases, it didn't turn out to be nearly as bad as perhaps they thought it would be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we've been dealing with a lot of things on our team, River Road Real Estate that we run. Emotions have been high. And what I've seen is some agents. We've talked about this before. The title of our podcast is The Accidental Realtor because everybody fell into this. No one woke up or was born and said, I want to be a realtor when I grow up. We all fell into it one way or the other. So we get a lot of people that are on their second or third careers. And some of these people become very successful. We had two very recently on the team that had found great success. We're just really doing well with our training, our systems, our culture, the leads that they were getting from us. Found the success and said, you know what? I don't think this job is for me. This is exhausting. I'm making really good money. I'm doing better than I ever expected, but I don't have the fortitude to burn myself out this way. I'm out. And they went back to the private sector or they did something else. It wasn't the money. It wasn't a lack of success. It certainly wasn't the money. It wasn't a lack of success. It was simply that this is an emotional, exhausting, grinding job. And when people say we're overpaid, I would love for them to work 48 hours or live 48 hours in my shoes. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's well said, Chuck. And I think that sentiment probably applies to a lot of professions, but realty or real estate probably is one of those that people are. It's very easy to make a snapshot opinion of maybe what's involved, and there is so much behind the scenes, and it's a very rewarding job. There's just so much good about it, but it's not just closing on a property that someone wants to buy or selling it and then cashing a paycheck. There is so much behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Which actually leads us into our guest. I'm really excited about this guy. I've known him for a while. He is a thought leader. He's an industry leader in the coaching and leadership circles. He just did a retreat, a men's retreat in Ireland, which I was really jealous. I couldn't go to that. I love Ireland. He knows leadership and systems and personality inventories unlike anyone I've ever met. He's semi-retired, but not really because he's working very hard. Currently works for the Aesthetics Lab for High Performance. I think he's one of the founders of it. I'm really excited to bring in Dr. Edwin Adams. Get him in here from the green room. There he is. A lot of gray hair in this room. How you doing, Edwin?
Good.
Hi, Edwin.
Good morning.
Nice
I
to
hope
meet you.
everything's working.
Yeah, you're
Hey,
a little
Steve.
muted, a little quiet.
A little quiet.
There
That's
we go.
unusual.
Now we got you. I know.
All right.
We
Let me
rarely.
just speak up and speak with conviction, Chuck. Why not?
It's about time. It's about time you believed in what you were selling. I love it. I love it. I'm really excited to hear about your Ireland trip. But really, I want to hear, at least to start things out, how you ended up in this segment of the industry that you're in. What got you there? What inspires you, and what you're into.
And you said we only have 30 minutes to tell that story.
I know. I
All
know.
right. So for context, it's almost 37 years ago to the date, Chuck. Actually, I read a book my fall semester of my first semester in college, and the book was Failing Forward by John Maxwell.
Mhm.
And in that book, there was a quote that absolutely stunned me. And that quote, if I remember correctly, was, "Failure is simply the price you pay for success." Up to that point, Chuck, my value personally was performative. Did you make it on the basketball team? Did you make this time in high school on the track team? Did you make all A's? Did you get a scholarship? Everything performative, and failure was not an option. So that book shook me. And there was another quote in there, and I'm gonna abuse it, but I think it said the difference between average people and achieving people is the perception of and response to failure. So that was the catalyst that made me go, I've got a lot of work to do on myself. And it was actually after that book, I was accepted to pharmacy school and joined a professional pharmacy fraternity. And their motto or creed was from Buddha, and it said, "You must a man should first direct himself in the way he should go. Only then should he instruct others." And wow, I had read some more Maxwell books and learned that leadership was influence. Well, influence is what we do with other people. And I was like, see, it's all coming together. I'm on the right journey. And I say all that to say that moving from performative to transformative solves for and heals most of men's suffering. So that's the journey, Chuck.
I mean, that's wonderful. And, Steve and I both come, my background, but Steve also comes from government work. So, speaking for Steve, probably, and obviously Steve will talk here too, but I always saw that the government model was such a mediocre model for things. And when I was able to break free of that, thanks to an injury and a retirement, and find an entrepreneurial job, I really started embodying some of those hidden nuggets in leadership that you're quoting right there. Because I mean, Steve and I regularly invest in things. And well, it looks good. Let's give it a shot. We might lose money. We might make money. We don't know. We don't know. I love that. What are your thoughts, Steve?
Yeah. Sounds like you made a discovery, Edwin, way sooner than we did, because it wasn't until post-retirement did we start having some of these revelations that you're talking about that you had your very first semester of college. I wish I would have had.
The revelation was there, Steve, but the journey was just beginning. And now at 55, I'm still connecting the dots. So truly, it is a relentless pursuit. Truly, it is a lifelong journey. I thought success and purpose were a destination at which some point I would arrive. Well, I've learned later in life that it's not. So that's why it's got to keep going. It's got to keep going.
Let me ask you this. I should save this for the very last question, but do you think you found at least the success that you wanted?
I'm not chasing success, Chuck. I think success is what most people are trying to define. I think I'm on the coattails of significance. That's the difference for me. And I want a legacy to leave behind for my son, for my grandson. So it's success is again, I think that goes back to performative. I want something transformative and bigger than me, a big, hairy, audacious something that's not about me. And I think that's when I allowed purpose to live within me. So I can't define success right now, because I think make this whole even bigger, Chuck, is purpose isn't a destination. You don't discover it and then go, oh, thank goodness I found it. Now I can live. I think every time you apply purpose, it's a cycle. So something comes back to you. And I consider that fulfillment. So as long as I'm using my strength and value and impact and influence out in the world and receiving that somebody is better because of my presence, man, I'm just going to keep doing that. That's all I need.
I think you found success. The definition for you for success is not having to worry about being successful.
Yeah, that's not it anymore.
I love it.
So, Edwin, I was wondering if you could kind of speak to how you got to where you are now, because when one looks at your LinkedIn profile, if they were to look at your resume, your education is in pharmacy, right? And
Correct.
that's what your degree is in. And then just at a glance, it looks like you did pharmacy work, for a number of years. And then once you got out of that, then it seems like from a resume or background standpoint, you kind of exploded into what you're doing now. But I would have to imagine that even within the time that you got your degree, were working in pharmacy, you had to have been doing things even in that industry, I would imagine, since you had this early revelation your first year in college. Can you talk about that? Like even within the pharmacy work, how you kind of embrace this philosophy and how that worked for you?
Yeah, Steve, I think there were clues. I mean, my first big time job was becoming an advisor in the pharmacy program at the University of Louisiana at Monroe. So I was working in the student affairs department, but working in the poison control center. So I was practicing pharmacy, but had this side gig over and being an advisor. And man, I think I started getting a clue there that helping students figure out what they wanted to become through a college education was probably the start of everything. I mean, hundreds of students coming in, high school students trying to figure out declaration of a major, parents having major separation anxiety. So counseling parents, counseling students, counseling is probably the wrong word, coaching parents and students into what the next level of life was, I think was where I saw purpose and fulfillment come together in a cycle. That then got me into the classroom, became a full professor, spoke in the pharmacy association world on leadership, continued my involvement with that pharmacy fraternity on a national level, since that was probably one of the first clues I got when I was in early pharmacy education was that quote by Buddha. So I kept my involvement with that fraternity and just kept spreading the significance that gave me the fulfillment. And I think that's it. And I've just carried it everywhere I've gone, even the pharmaceutical industry, where I recently retired from, colleagues with Sophia, Chuck, and getting to practice that in different domains, taking the risk of failure that, sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. I just felt like continual stretching was the way I should go.
I love this. And I love how it applies to our industry. And we have a lot of consumers and we have a lot of realtors and we have a lot of team leaders that listen to our podcast. So we try to give them all a little something. And everything you're speaking to speaks to wherever you are in the journey of life. If you're a consumer buying a house, take a shot. If you're a new realtor, take a shot. If you're a team leader, you're going to be spending money. Take a shot. See where it goes.
Yeah, Chuck, that somebody asked me recently at a leadership conference, and they were relatively new in the attending leadership conference space, and he said, "Wow, after this many years of doing what you do, what's the best piece of advice?" And I think he's 26, asking the 55-year-old that question, and after just a couple of seconds, I think of thinking, it was exactly that, Chuck. Take your shot, take the risk, make your move now. You've got so many more years to recover from a failed chance than I do. So man, I'm so happy you're discovering it now. Your life is going to be on a totally different trajectory. Go for it. Even if you are 55, take your shot. Take your shot.
I love it. You talk about legacy, and to me, that's so important. Whatever legacy looks like, I think everyone has to define that to muddle through life and not want to leave some nugget behind for whomever follows. To me, is just soul crushing. So I love that you're talking on that level. I want to dig in, shifting gears just a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about your recent trip to Ireland, and then I'd love to hear you give us a little leadership nugget for people like us. So tell me about Ireland. Tell me about that trip. That looked awesome.
Yeah, over the years I've built a network of people, and I think I'm at a season in life now, not chained to the golden handcuffs, if you will, to the job. That being retired, not required, opened up this amazing spectrum of bandwidth. And I've attended many summits, many conferences, and I just felt a pull, a call to do something of significance in that way. Because if it's number one question I get from men age 18 to 55, it is about purpose. What is my purpose? They're seeking it. And I think it is paralyzing them. And I think it creates a lot of suffering. So in having that conversation for a long time with a friend over in Ireland who I helped shape that purpose in him, we said, let's start doing that for more people. And let's start it where I am over in Ireland. And so I said, yeah, let's go. We had 30 days to do it, Chuck. It was not well pre-planned, not well launched, not well marketed, but we had 12 guys show up asking the question. And we created a framework of evaluation We created a framework for movement to get them through understanding into action. And over a 5-hour period, hopefully we're the catalysts for change and transformation in those men. And we're holding on to them for 90 days post event. Just had our 30-day post call, seeing where everybody was. And there was a spectrum of some haven't done anything to some are really making moves in the world. So we're doing it again in January 24th over in Derry, Northern Ireland. And then probably in May, we're bringing it over here to the US to try the market over here.
I love it. I love that you and an Irish guy with two of the strongest accents I've heard in a while were able to communicate and understand each other. I think that's wonderful.
Well, Google Translate helps me tremendously. Yeah, definitely.
Hold on. I'm waiting for Google Translate. Okay. Yeah, I got you. Okay. Yep. No, I got you. I bet it did. Uh, so give us a nugget, Edwin. Give us a nugget. Tell us a little bit something about leadership. How can we better ourselves? How can our listeners better themselves?
Yeah, I go back to the Buddha quote. There is so much capacity within us, and I think we're so busy in the world, we're not investing the time within ourselves to appreciate the depth of our capacity, a capacity for influence and significance. And I think once we uncover through the onion peel process of taking off these layers of trauma, of experience, of belief that was not ours, it was imparted on us. I think when you get to the core of who you are and truly understand and appreciate your strengths, that you stand on a platform of values and you determine a direction of impact you want to go, I think then you become unstoppable and you become a significant influence in this world.
How do you get to that stuff? I mean, are, let's say I'm backing up a little bit. A lot of times with my team, I will bring in an improv coach once a
Mhm.
year, and we will spend 2 hours doing improv. They're realtors. We have a lot of ex cops. We have a lot of people who just don't think like that, and they're all like, "Ah, I'll go because I'm mandated to go. I'm not going to participate. I am absolutely not going to have fun, and I'm definitely not going to learn anything because I already know everything." So those are I love watching the improv coach break these people down. So what do you do as the leader of a group in Ireland or one of your seminars where someone goes, same thing. I already know it all. I don't have trauma, and if I do, I'm certainly not sharing it with you. I'm fine. How do you break through that?
Yeah. So if we speak in the context of the men's summit, we used exercise as a way to humble them, but to as a pattern interrupt of their thought. All right. So that's where my friend Matt Norby comes in. He absolutely slayed them in the gym, and in that vulnerable moment, we asked them about what are you feeling and experiencing right now, and then we tied that, and it was always that feeling was attached to a fear or an insecurity. So we pulled those out in a moment of humbleness. When I'm in a boardroom or when I'm in facilitating a workshop, I use a third party method of a DISC assessment, the four components of human personality and behavior. And I get them to answer the series of questions, and then boom, a report is generated that helps me show them that your behavior is predictable. So I humble them in having them answer a series of 50 questions that shows them who they are, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, how did it know?" I'm like, "Well, it knew because you told it." So now that we've got you in that moment of curiosity, we slap you with EQ and raise your awareness, and then I think that creates space for growth.
I love that. And
Yeah.
I see Steve nodding like crazy. I mean, we use DISC a lot. It is the primary foundational understanding of our employees and our realtors and ourselves. Love that.
Yeah,
I love
especially when you can tie it to issues they're having at work. And you go, well, you know why? You know why you bow up and you say, I already know everything? Well, you're wired that way, but it's not a life sentence. What do we do with your wiring? How do we wield that into your influence? How do we discover your purpose and fulfillment and impact and all that other stuff we're talking about in that moment, that's the magic. That's where it's fun facilitating. To your point, that improv coach is receiving significant fulfillment by breaking down the barrier and showing them something that they unconsciously were unaware of, and now it's at the top of their awareness. There's where growth starts.
Edwin, I'm curious. You were talking about you get questions from men as young as 18 up to 55. So you're dealing with men, and within that group of people, have you found that there's a certain demographic or a certain profession that tends to gravitate or seek your advice than perhaps others? Whether it's a government job where they're stifled and they have no idea what the entrepreneurial world is, and that's kind of what they're yearning for, and they don't know it. Versus someone who is in the entrepreneurial world, but they realize the struggles that come along with it, and they need help along the way. But if you found a certain profession or demographic within that sticks out more than the other?
Steve, no. The short answer is no. I think every man, from high school graduate, blue collar worker, all the way to the C-suite, we all have the same core issues. Dr. Daniel Amen wrote a book, and I believe the book was called Your Brain is Always Listening. And he uses the metaphors of dragons to describe the innate components of the human psyche, that when that dragon breathes, you experience an emotion. Those emotions tied to an experience create a belief. And when we get triggered because we experience that again in life, the dragon's breathing on us. Well, he names, I believe, 12 dragons that we all have within us. But each of us has a different dragon that's primary and breathes most of the time. So I think simply, no matter where you are in life, regardless of your gender, we all have the dragon. So I'm simply helping translate feeling into identity of the belief that is formed that might need to be transformed into something more valuable to drive your results in your actions and your results in life. So no, there's no demographic. We all suffer from the same fire, just in different ways. So no, there is no industry I've identified that is better or worse. We're all on the same journey.
I'm going to put you on
Makes
the
sense.
spot. Do you have any absolutely transformative stories where you can redact a name and tell us about someone who you worked with that just changed, fundamentally changed, or found that space within themselves?
Yeah, I think when I fully understood my purpose, I think one of the core tenets of that is a hurt healer. And probably one of the most significant opportunities I have had to help someone overcome hurt was simply by being consistently present for them, because I saw the hurt that I once had. And the feedback was, you saved my life. They were going the wrong way in dealing with the struggle. All the things we've talked about, they were slowly going down the spiral to where there are only two options: look up and get out, or check out. And for whatever reason, I intersected them, saw the pain, was present with them, and they made a better choice than what the options afforded them. That's happened. That's happened a few times, Chuck, and that's just that's the reason I keep going, because I'm listening for it. There's a lot of suffering out there, and if I can just be there present and preach what I'm preaching and answer the call that I'm being called to, that I'll keep doing that. I think that's the significance, is helping someone make a better choice when they're at the bottom.
I love that. I mean, I love that's where we're all at. I mean, you came from a dumb pharma job. Just kidding. It was a wonderful job. But I mean, that That's great. That's a catalyst to help people grow within that industry. We came from stupid real estate. Here we are. We're helping people grow. We're helping people transform their lives, as one of my realtors has said. And I think that's the most important thing. You find people where they are. You lift them up, whatever it looks like. Whether you're spiritual or not. Steve's spiritual. I'm not, but I find that way to lift people up. I love this.
Yeah, I'm a spiritual guide too, and we've got a great mentor in the spirituality I practice. So just keep doing what he did. That's the way.
Love it. Steve, you feel changed? You feel better?
I actually I do. I just absolutely love this subject matter. And Edwin, I mean, you're a prolific speaker, and I would love to hear more of you. I would love to attend something with you where you're at and hear more.
Well, let's keep your schedule open for May 2026. I don't know the location yet, but everyone in the U.S. is going to be invited.
I
Absolutely.
love it. Everyone, there's like 3 people I don't want there, Edwin.
would just send me their names. I'll
Okay.
put them on the exclusive list.
That's good. That's
The
excellent.
exclusive list. Steve,
Where
Chuck, thank you for having me on. What a
Of
what a
course.
privilege to speak my purpose and passion through this medium. I really appreciate it.
When we started this podcast, you were at the very top of the list. So, it's taken us a while to work our way through some people, but you were honestly one of the first names that made the list. I'm like, "We are getting Edwin on." Absolutely.
Bless you, sir. Bless you. I knew you were my hero for a reason, Chuck. Now I know.
Steve's taller than me. Just a little secret. He should be
Well,
your hero.
most people are, Chuck. That's okay. That's okay.
Oh,
Touche.
I knew.
Touche. That is very true. Edwin and I have actually met. I had to be on a stool to hug him. It was tough. Where can people find you, Edwin?
Yeah, so the best way I like to connect is on LinkedIn and Instagram. Easy find on LinkedIn. My hashtag, no, my username. I don't know what it is on Instagram. Whatever they call those is all one word. Disrupt comfort.
Oh yeah.
I always thought comfort was the goal. That was my upbringing. Was one day just arrive at comfort and everything will be okay. But I just have found that consistent disruption of comfort is the way to growth. You got to get through the terror barrier right there, but there's joy and fulfillment on the other side.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I
Good
do
stuff.
have that podcast, Chuck. Since we're
yes.
co-podcasters,
Yes.
the Aesthetics of Leadership podcast, the look of leadership that is unmistakable.
Okay. And they can find you on all the platforms, Spotify.
You got
Apple.
it. You got
Yeah.
it.
I love it. Thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time, Edwin. Always a pleasure. You were a great guest, and please keep us posted on upcoming dates because we'll push those out to our listeners as well.
Will do. Bless you both. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Edwin.
Wow.
Wow is right.
He's
Wow.
he's I've seen him do a couple of his workshops, or maybe just one. I forgot where we were. It was another state somewhere, Hawaii, Miami, something. He'll break down a system and show you some personality stuff you hadn't thought of, and he is the king of motivational quotes. Love it.
Yeah. I mean, when he's talking about that first quote in his first year of college, I mean, it had an effect on me as he was kind of reading it out. But, what I find interesting is there's probably a lot of people out there that look at someone like him at where he's at now and they think this is all he's ever done. But it's so interesting to see where he comes from and what his background is and what led him within his initial background to be where he is now. I mean, any of us in any profession, right? You have these epiphanies, you have these realizations that transform you within whatever you're doing at the time, and then it leads you down a different path to do what he's doing now. It blows my mind.
Yeah, I love that. And obviously, how I left government work. It wasn't entirely by choice, but it was partially by choice. But there was a catalyst, and I felt very stuck. And I didn't realize how stuck I was until you, of all people, talked me into this job. And I learned what truly applying my entrepreneurial spirit becomes. So sometimes you just need that something to shake you loose.
Exactly. And I think you and I now, I mean, we still have contacts from our former profession and people that don't necessarily have this open mindset, and to try to, show them the light, so to speak, to try to, give them a glimmer of hope that there is a whole different world out there that they don't even realize. I think that's the challenge. And that's kind of what he does too. But incredible speaker, very motivating.
Yeah, it's great. I'm gonna have to check out his seminar, his men's workshop. Although I would really like to go to the one in Ireland. That looked really cool. They were all sweating. I mean, he had some pictures and some stuff up on Facebook. It was great.
Okay,
Love it.
that would be
Well,
fun.
we'd like to wrap up with some sort of a funny story. Steve, I think you have one for us.
Well, I think so, and I think you and I we have discussions about this, and we're always worried about, is it going to come across as humorous to the average person listening to the podcast? There is humor in a lot of stuff that we do, and I think it's how we kind of convey it. But I had a particular incident a couple years ago. I was working with a young married couple that was they were buying their first home, and they were getting a significant sum of money from the wife's parents, right? Gifting it to them as a gift because they just got married and it's their first home. So in this particular case, everything had been going relatively smooth up until closing day, and that's when things kind of went awry. And it turned out that the day before closing, the in-laws, the wife's parents, and the couple and other family members had a get together, and there was a falling out at the get together.
Eh,
So now all of a
that's
sudden, these parents had some misgivings on whether or not they wanted to go through with the closing and contribute all this money. So here we are in closing day. I didn't know any of this at the time. And the closing was going to occur in the building where I happened to office out of and my title company officed out of. And all of a sudden, I get a knock on my door, and they're like, "Hey, parents for the closing are here, and they're all upset, and we're trying to get them in to talk, and they refuse to get out of the car." Like, what are you talking about? What is going on here? So anyway, I had to get up from my office, basically go outside, try to figure out what was going on, because up until this point, I didn't know any of this stuff, right? And it made me think of my old profession, where you had to wear a hat, you had to be a jack of all trades, and you had to be a counselor and a mentor and a therapist and everything else. And there was a lot of emotion running deep. And it didn't help that the parents didn't speak English, and they actually had a translator in the car with them that was trying to translate what they were telling me and I was telling them. And the whole while I'm out in the parking lot, it seemed so surreal. I mean, I was getting ready for a closing. This was thrust upon me. And my old brokerage was a rather large building. It contained a lot of agents, and I could look back and I could see people looking out the window. I mean, it's a scene. People are looking at what's going on out in the parking lot because they had come in. The translator had come in, said that they were very upset, very emotional, and so I find humor in that, in the respect that, again, we commented with Edwin. People think that realtors, for example, it's just, oh, we're going to help someone find a home, we're going to close on it, we get a check.
You guys are
No,
overpaid. You guys are
yeah,
overpaid.
there's so many other facets to what we have to do to get to the finish line. And this was one of them. And it's one that I would say most agents don't necessarily have to deal with on a regular basis, but it required a lot of tact, a lot of finesse, a lot of negotiation, a lot of de escalation to finally get everyone to an emotional point where they were ready to close. And the good news was it closed, but it just seems so surreal that I'm out in this parking lot basically being an attorney, being a cop, being a counselor. It was crazy. But at the same time, kind of gratifying. And that's what can make our job interesting at the same time.
I have a mental image because I watched every episode of The Office. It's been a couple years, but they always had the occasional scene where the whole group would be looking out the windows onto the parking lot, watching the Steve Carell character do his next
Yes,
stupid thing, and that's just it. I picture all these people like, check this out, check this out, check this out.
that's
Look at Steve.
exactly what it was, because I was a fan of The Office as well. And you're right. It's a scene right out of one of those shows. That's what was happening.
I love it. Just
Yep.
remember that, people. When people say realtors are overpaid, we are not overpaid. And by the way, the only real juice we get for that is being able to use that on a podcast 10 years later. So,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, viewers, listeners, I hope you got some nuggets. I love saying nuggets, but they are nuggets from Edwin Adams, our guest speaker. We'll have all of his links up on the podcast. This has been another episode of The Accidental Realtor. Remember, you can find us on all the platforms. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, and on any of our pages. The accidentalrealtor.com, I think, is up and running, but we also have the Accidental Realtor Facebook page. I've been one of your hosts, Chuck Gollop.
And I'm Steve Smith.
And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to Accidental Realtor. Frankly, I can't believe you made it through the whole thing. Way to go. I'm your announcer, Rusty Gatenby. Chuck has me tied up and held hostage in his basement. No kidding. Please help me. See you next time.